Nathan, I have some news.
What?
This suitcase, top secret, has an idea that I've been thinking about since we first started this podcast back in 2021. Okay? Now, I kept it for so long.
All right, show me, bro. I'm excited.
Okay.
You want to review Madagascar 3 Year of Smoke's Warning?
Yeah, dude, no one's talked about it, and
No
I've
one's
kept this.
talked about it because nobody cares.
What?
Let's do a Dreamworks episode instead.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 167. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by the man himself, Matthew Neves, to my left.
Thank you.
And today, for episode 167, we are going to be talking about DreamWorks. We did Disney, and now it's time to dive into DreamWorks. And diving into the history of DreamWorks, I found a lot more than I expected.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know about its, inception and the origins of it, and how ambitious the initial idea was for
Right.
DreamWorks versus what I always kind of knew it as, which was mostly DreamWorks Animation.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot more that happened before it got created.
That's right. It was founded in 1994 by an unknown man named Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
Maybe
who
you
is
heard of
that?
him.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Katzenberg and David Geffen. And the reason it was founded was Jeffrey Katzenberg was the chairman of Disney Studios at that time, and the president of Disney passed away in a helicopter accident,
Yeah.
and basically that position ended up being free, open, and Katzenberg felt like it should be him. He had earned it. The CEO of Disney, Michael Eisner, was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do it."
Yeah.
And basically, they had a falling out over that, which ultimately ended up with Katzenberg leaving and being like, I'm going to make a better Disney with a new kind of studio combining film, animation, music, gaming. They had a bunch of divisions at first.
Right.
It's like the opposite of what you expect a company to start off as. They don't like start small and expand. They were like, no, we're going to do everything. And then shit stopped working, and then they were like, actually, we're going to do like one or two things.
I was curious about that because this falling out reminded me a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, the origin of Sony.
Right.
With the PlayStation.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just realizing 94, wasn't that when the first PlayStation around that time got?
Right around that time. That's true.
So I don't know. But I remember the falling out, reading about that because Michael Eisner was the CEO at the time, and he had some weird fucking decisions, man, around that time, like in terms of Disney's management, theme parks, movies, and shit like that. So, and then Katzenberg also was super fucking bitter, hence the origin of DreamWorks. So it's just a weird fucking time during this period. But yeah, a lot of the success you were talking about, it mainly focused on everything. They wanted to do every single thing.
They came out the gate with a film studio opening up. They had the animation, but they did music. Like they had a whole record studio.
Yeah.
Which they put out a few out. They put out Nelly Furtado's first album. Shout out Nelly Furtado.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Canadian legend, Portuguese legend.
Fucking A.
They put out her first album, so shout out DreamWorks for that. But I mean, shortly after that, like that kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
And they quickly realized that they needed to focus on the animation, which was working. But they did put out movies like Saving Private Ryan, American Beauty.
Didn't they also do the first two Transformers movies?
They did,
Yeah,
that's
because
right.
I remember the DreamWorks logo, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
That's right, yeah.
But obviously, they did those live-action films mainly due to connections. Like, obviously, Saving Private Ryan with Spielberg. So,
Right.
you're going to get connections that way. And I'm assuming David Geffen or Katzenberg produced American Beauty or had connections in that regard, as well as the other films. So, yeah, that makes sense. But, yeah, mainly focused on animation. They were doing both 2D and 3D animation.
That's right.
So it's a little interesting because that wasn't what Pixar was doing. Pixar was solely 3D. So it was like this weird merge with DreamWorks where it's just like, well, we can do both at least. we can show you the variety of our animation, which I always found interesting. But that was more in the early stages, obviously 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, 1995 they launched the animation division, and the first film the first film that they work on is Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
But the first film that they release is Ants.
Ants. Between those two, Prince of Egypt's way better.
Yeah.
Ants is kind of like this weird foreshadowing of Pixar's mentality.
Why is Ants so critically acclaimed though?
Is it?
I saw some reviews that I was like,
I think if you watch Ants now, you'll be like, oh, I'll just watch A Bug's Life. You know? I'll just watch Bug's Life because it came out around the same time as that movie.
92% fresh.
Yeah, but look at the audience score.
The audience score is 52%.
But what I'm saying is, like, it foreshadowed a lot of what DreamWorks' mentality was, where it's like, get big name actors to voice,
Right,
instead of getting talented voice actors.
That's right.
So that film, Ants, has an insane fucking cast, like Sharon Stone, Sylvester Stallone, Gene Hackman's in it. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Where
Yeah,
did they
that's
get all
right.
these voice actors from? And the film's okay.
It scared the shit out of me as a kid.
It's creepy animation.
I did not like that animation one bit.
I always think of that one scene because it was disturbing to me as a kid. It was after the war the ants went through, and it's like
Yeah.
the main character's lifting up one of the character's heads that was just severed, and he's still. Yeah, look, when you're a 5-year-old and you see that on VHS, you're
Yeah.
fucking scared,
With
dude.
creepy animation
Yeah.
already. Like it's a nightmare.
Pretty disturbing. But Prince of Egypt, I think, is an amazing film.
Prince of Egypt hits. I
Yeah.
remember really liking that film as a kid.
Beautiful animation, beautiful voice acting. I think
Yeah.
the voice actors in that are way better than in Ants, and the music too. And I think it's just, I remember one of my buddies told me it's like one of the best movies in relation to Christianity. I think it's one that I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people don't bring up as much, even though it's a beautifully made film.
That's true. It hit for kids, but even as an adult, you watch it and the themes of it and the message is it's the material it's trying to convey. It's tricky to convey for kids, and they did such a beautiful job of that, I think.
Yeah, because it's like the only other variations of the story that you got before this were like 10 Commandments, which it's a great film, but how many 5-6-year-olds are you gonna make watch a Charlton Heston 4-hour epic?
Right.
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
This is a perfect movie to show your kids.
Yeah. So after Ants and Prince of Egypt, they switch it up with Chicken Run.
This is during the Aardman merge, I think. Aardman
Yeah.
Studios and DreamWorks were like, all right, let's work together. And Chicken Run was their first outing. I think they had 2 other movies, and then their contract ended. It was Wallace and Gromit, and then Flushed Away.
Flushed away.
Flushed Away was the one where they did a CGI.
But was going to be originally stop motion.
Yeah. And I think there's something going on at DreamWorks at the time. I'm not too sure. I think you know the history behind that. It was around 2006 or 7, and then Aardman's like, okay, we're just going to do our own thing after this.
Yeah.
So they split after that.
Chicken Run was a hit. What
yeah.
a banger.
I love that movie.
It's so good. It's so good, and it doesn't get talked about enough, I think. It's probably one that you heard of, remember slightly.
Yeah.
From back in the day. It deserves a rewatch. Like, you'll have fun with it. For sure.
I fully agree. And you know what's sad, though, is that they did make a sequel recently.
Did they?
Yeah, Chicken Run 2. It was...
Wait, how do I not know about that?
It's because the marketing sucked and it went to streaming.
Oh. How recent was this?
This was last year.
No way.
Yep. It's Dawn of the Nugget.
It's a Netflix movie?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Netflix.
Wow.
It got good reviews, but I think the issue with that sequel is the fact that there was no marketing. It went straight to streaming, and very few people even talked about it.
I didn't even know about it. And I love the first Chicken Run. That's crazy.
So, I don't know. I want to check it out. I think we talked about the first one on our stop motion episode.
Yeah, we did a bit. Yeah.
Classic.
After that, they go Rotel Dorado, which is one I don't remember very much.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's got the similar animation. It's 2D animated like Prince of Egypt, except it's more, I wouldn't say sloppy. It's got the music still. It's got great voice acting. It just bombed at the box office. You know what it reminds me of? It's like DreamWorks' Treasure Planet. where
Okay.
It's got that nice charm and attitude, but nobody fucking saw it when it came out.
Right, fair enough.
So yeah.
And then there's Joseph, King of Dreams, which I did not see.
That one more into Catholic, Christianity.
And then 2001, Everything Changes.
yeah.
Shrek was initially a project that was kind of a B-side project for DreamWorks. Internally, they were like, "This is not the one that we're putting all our chips in. We're not expecting anything crazy for this." The production obviously was kind of crazy because of
Chris Farley was
Chris
originally
Farley had recorded almost all of his voice lines for Shrek.
Yeah.
And then passed away. And then they brought in Mike Myers to do a completely different accent and change that. And Shrek just changed the game, man. This is one of the best movies.
I always think of that state of mind, though, that Mike Myers had, because you got to understand that he was an SNL alumni just like Farley.
Yeah.
And he's taking over his spot. So he's probably having like this like moment where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to.
How did he feel about that, man?
You know?
Yeah.
I remember David Spade talked about people were like, "Oh, do you know Farley was doing Shrek?" And he's like, "Yeah, I remember. He was doing his lines and stuff." And it's like at the end of the day, it would have been an entirely different film, whether better or worse.
Yeah, I can't say.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, definitely Mike Myers. Props to him for like rising to the occasion and killing it.
And he didn't do his voice.
Yeah.
He did the Scottish accent, which again, if you're like reading the script and you're hearing the lines and stuff like that, and Mike Myers just does like, "Oh, hello there," and you're just like, are we making a bad movie?
Yeah, you got to think like you're in the recording booth. You know,
Like, is Katzenberg thinking that when he's hearing Mike Myers say
is he
these
in
lines?
the booth like, yo, what's this guy? This is not what Farley did. This is not. This
Yeah.
is not. Did he not hear what Farley did? What's this guy doing? So the balls for Mike Myers to be like, yo, I'm gonna try something different. I'm not Chris Farley.
Yeah, and he did that, and what a fucking shock! It's one of the most iconic characters in not only animation, just movie history.
In movie history.
Yeah,
period.
I would say so. Truly a game changer. Wait, first ever Oscar. Oh, it won an Oscar for best animated. Fucking A, man. I didn't know
First
that.
ever Oscar, best animated feature.
It's a fantastic movie.
And then that, it immediately switched the studio's focus to creating like this family-friendly humorous film appealing to like both kids and adults, like Pixar does.
But what's funny too is, like you said with Katzenberg, he was very bitter towards Disney.
Oh, hated them.
Do you think Shrek is like the perfect example of that? Because it's very anti-Disney when it comes to using characters within stories and stuff. Like Pinocchio is like he's such a. There's such like not narcissism, but there's such a like parody, making fun of all these things.
It's satirical at times, right?
And I feel like Katzenberg really connected with that with Shrek. Hence why it got so big, and he probably put more money into it after the first one made a ton of money. You know,
Right.
Made more sequels that way. I just found that funny because it is very like
That's true. It is really like a fuck you to Disney.
the three little bears. You know how now like the mama bear's like
Yeah.
Lord Farquaad's bedroom, whatever.
That's right.
Very dark humor, I would say.
Yeah, it's literally like, all right, Disney, like I know how you would do all these characters. I'm gonna do them the opposite.
Yeah, because you're allowed to. They're like public domain. You could add these princesses. You can add these fairy tale characters. Who cares? I love that.
Yeah.
So after Shrek,
After Shrek, we get some Spirit, the horse movie Spirit, which some people like.
if you're what is it? If you're into like riding horses, horseback riding,
Sure.
like this is probably your favorite movie.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'm sure that was a hit for somebody. Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas.
Oh yeah, do you ever see that one?
No.
No?
Go watch Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Was Road to El Dorado and Sinbad? They both did poorly at the box office, which kind of gave DreamWorks' mentality to be like, okay, never mind. We're just doing 3D. Bye bye. And I'm like, that sucks because the animation is gorgeous in all those movies. It's just that the writing's not on par.
Yeah, so the next two after Shrek was those two. Pretty lukewarm.
Yeah.
And then 2004, they're like, all right, let's cook. Shrek 2.
Shrek 2 is amazing.
Shrek 2 is a fantastic sequel.
I would say it's better than the first.
it is one of those that is better than the first,
sorry.
actually.
Yeah.
It really is. Shrek 2 is so memorable.
Like the music the choices that they make. I feel like they progress Shrek's character, Fiona's character, everyone's character. They all have beautiful arcs. They
Yeah.
introduce new characters too. Puss in Boots,
Puss in Boots.
is so popular now that he has 2 movies under his belt.
Which is nuts. Yeah, 2 critically acclaimed movies under his belt now.
Yeah,
So Shrek 2 laid the foundation for that. That's true.
absolutely.
And in the same year, they released Shark Tale.
Okay, this is. Remember what I said about ants, where it's like they use these celebrities. This is the spiritual sequel to Ants, in my opinion, because you have Will Smith
Yep.
as a fish. What's his name? It's Will Smith fish.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Fucking Martin Scorsese plays the boss.
That's right.
They got Angelina Jolie,
De Niro.
Jack Black. I mean, like
They have everybody that's ever been a movie star.
and the movie is like, is it a mob film? I feel like it's like trying to parody the mob genre because of the actors that they brought in.
They even have Bob Marley's son, Ziggy Marley. Did you know that?
Is he one of the jellyfish? Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured.
Michael Imperioli. They got Christopher.
They got Christopher Moltisanti. What the fuck? I'm surprised they didn't get Gandolfini.
They have Vincent Pastore. Damn,
Oh,
I
this-
didn't realize how much Sopranos cast was.
This is a
present
mob
here.
parody. Yeah, Shark Tale is the mob parody, and it. Oh my god, I can't. I'm sorry.
Oscar is Will Smith's character name.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Don
a,
Lino is Robert De Niro's character name. Shark Tale, man. It's a weird ass movie that I
Dude.
did really like as a kid. I can't lie.
Will Smith. His name's Oscar. Was that a foreshadowing? I don't know, guys. Anyways, yep, that's Shark Tale. And then, in similar vein, but I feel like it's a better written script, better written story. Madagascar.
Madagascar in 2005. So they're cooking. This is their run here, right? Like
Yeah,
like say what you want about Shark Tale. It was a hit at the box office.
it did make a ton of money.
And-
Holy shit, it did.
Yeah, and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
For good or for bad. 2005, they go Madagascar. Madagascar is such a good movie.
Yeah, not a lot of people talk about the Madagascar films, and I don't know why.
I think sure they got a little diluted or whatever with the sequels. They stretched it maybe a little too far with some of the spin-off stuff they did and all that.
Yeah,
But this ensemble cast of characters is so memorable to me. Like
I
to
think it
have
works.
this many characters and have them all be memorable, it works really well.
and the animation style is very different. And like you said, the side characters, I always think of like King Julian, Maurice, and stuff like that, and also the
Brilliant.
penguins. So you have these 2 side characters, and they have interesting plots within themselves, so that whenever it gets a little slow with the main characters, you can cut back to them, and it's just like, oh, they're fucking hilarious. I think Madagascar is pretty solid. I do think my favorite out of all of them is Madagascar 2.
Yeah, you like the sequel.
Dude,
more.
I saw
think
that
I kind of
so
like the
many
first
times.
one more though.
I saw Madagascar Escape to Africa so many fucking times. It's
kind of a banger, though.
I love it. I love it in a different, like, I don't know. That's just my personal favorite out of the Madagascar.
When I
films.
was like around 2005, bro, this was my favorite movie that had ever been made at that time.
And the jokes still land.
I was playing the PS2 game like crazy. We're gonna have to play that on Frame to Game. The PS2 game of Madagascar is a banger.
Fuck
It's
yeah,
a
man.
great game. One of the better movie adaptation games of the PS2 era.
Hell yeah.
Same year they release Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were Rabbit.
Kino.
Like, let them cook.
This is Kino. This is so Kino. If you guys don't know already, Wallace and Gromit's fucking amazing.
So good.
And Curse of the Were-Rabbit is no exception. I mean, like, you can watch this in Halloween. You can watch this anytime. There's this iconic clip that they were talking about where it's like, how do you kill him? It's like, with a bullet? A bullet? And they're all, like, dramatic and shit like that. It's really well done.
There is some great quotables in Wallace and Gromit.
But yeah, I think that was Aardman's second film that they worked on with DreamWorks, and yeah, it made a ton of money.
And the run continues. Over the Hedge, 2006. I love Over the Hedge too. I will defend this one.
You know what? Sure. I'll let it pass. I think I like Over the Hedge. I think there's way too many characters, and this is like
Sure.
This is DreamWorks doubling down. Like, okay, we're having William Shatner in this.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Look, it's less obviously like less memorable characters than like a Madagascar
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But I think the premise is really clever. Like I like the the heist into like people's homes to steal snacks.
That's good.
It's clever.
And I think the voice acting from specifically Bruce Willis and Gary Shandling are underrated.
Yeah.
Like for people who aren't voice actors, they do a really good fucking job in the
Yeah.
movie. So
Another great PS2 tie-in as well for Over the Hedge that we will play.
holy shit, man.
Flushed Away 2006. The run continues, man. Flushed Away, I remember being a pretty big deal back in the day. I remember the McDonald's toys that came with it. I had them. Yeah, Hugh Jackman, memorable performance there.
He does good. So does
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet's in it. My favorite joke in Flushed Away that I can now understand as an adult is when all the French frogs come in and they say, "We surrender." It's like, no, you fools, not that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as a kid, I was like, why are they doing that? No, Flushed Away is another great one. Unfortunately, I think the last one that Aardman worked on for DreamWorks,
Yeah.
they moved on.
The run continues with Shrek the Third the following year.
What do you mean the run? Talk about the fucking stop.
All right, maybe 2007 was a weird year at DreamWorks, considering B Movie came out the same year.
B movie's better than Shrek the Third. It is.
Yeah, it might
Don't
be.
fucking.
It might be.
Shrek the Third. I rewatched that. I was like, oh, this is such a dud.
I haven't rewatched it since I was a kid, so maybe I don't feel as strongly, but it probably is.
It's bad. I would say Shrek the Third is kind of like Cars 2, where it's just like, wow, they really fucked up when it came to the story. But no, B Movie was weird because that was just Jerry Seinfeld being like, I want to make a movie about bees. And then
Yeah.
DreamWorks was like, all right, here's $150 million. And we're like, what? But it's funny. I like the jokes. I like the story. It reminds me of like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
But it stars a bee and it's cartoon and it's DreamWorks.
Yeah.
So
It's an interesting film. I'm glad it exists for sure.
yeah.
Another weird PS2 tie-in game for that.
Oh, that's
where where you're a bee and you literally have to go to work in the hive. Like that's the whole game.
Barry B. Benson.
But hold on.
Oh.
Next year, DreamWorks is back with Kung Fu Panda in 2008.
I fucking love this movie.
Kung Fu Panda changed my life at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like my first martial arts film, potentially. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
probably.
for sure was.
For most people.
And it hit different. Like the jokes in Kung Fu Panda were being recited at recess for years to come.
Oh, yeah, man. It's so iconic. The jokes and also the heartfelt moments. Because that's what this movie had that a good majority of DreamWorks films didn't really have at the time.
You're right.
And as we progress in this list, you're going to notice that a lot more films, both funny and heartfelt, come into play.
You're right. And then in the same year, they got your banger, Escape to Africa, Madagascar 2.
I fucking love it.
Great one. And then we get 2009, we had Monsters vs. Aliens.
Okay, if you're going to let Over the Hedge pass, you got to let this one pass.
Yeah, we let this one slide too. It had its moment.
Yes.
It didn't age the best.
No.
It's not necessarily a classic, but it had its moment. I
Yeah.
think it made money too.
It did, yeah.
2010, How to Train Your Dragon. What a film.
This is more Kung Fu Panda in terms of they got it right on both ends.
Yeah.
I love it.
Shrek Forever After.
I want to call this the Spider-Man 3 of Shrek, where I will take this over Shrek the Third. It
I
is.
don't remember. I definitely saw this in 2010. I don't remember anything about this one.
It's basically like It's a Wonderful Life, but with Shrek.
I see.
That's all it is. They're not doing anything new with it. However, I feel like the character moments work a lot better. It's not as funny as Shrek 1 and 2, but to me, it's a better conclusion than Shrek the Third.
And then Megamind in the same year.
Dude, I'm so glad people are loving this movie more.
Yeah, it's definitely had a resurgence now, right?
Yeah.
The memes carried it into like cultural relevance again. Good job.
Good job. Loved it. Don't watch the sequel. It sucks ass.
No, but the first one is great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 2 in 2011.
Another one.
Cooking 2011 Puss in Boots as well.
Not bad,
The first Puss in Boots, yeah,
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
but yeah.
Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. What did you think about that one?
Okay.
This is where it
I
falls
know,
off.
I
huh?
know you're gonna hate me.
You like this one?
I like it more than the first one.
What?
I love it more than the first one, dude.
That's your hottest take. of
I'm
this whole
sorry, guys,
episode,
but
bro.
when Katy Perry's fireworks song plays and they got those Afro circus
Right.
shit, I'm like,
All right, poke it up, poke it up,
keep it.
poke it up. Yeah, I remember that. shit.
yeah. Look, I'm sorry. Look, is it the best way to end the trilogy? I don't fucking care. It's Madagascar. I had fun with it. Keep in mind, I saw this like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I think that's like a definitive end to like the best times of DreamWorks with that film.
There's simpler times.
It was the simpler times. Like, sure, there was some duds in the middle there and some bad sequels. But after this, it gets tough. Rise of the Guardians, The Croods,
Yeah.
Turbo,
Yeah.
Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
I like that one, but they're getting more misses than hits around this
For
time.
sure, for sure. How to Train Your Dragon 2.
It was good.
There's one.
yeah.
There's one in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Penguins of Madagascar. I don't even remember this movie at all.
Okay, if you didn't like Madagascar 3, you're probably not going to like this one. I kind of fucked with Penguins of Madagascar 2.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Kung Fu Panda 3.
Yeah.
Trolls. Boss Baby. This is kind of where they lost me. Like, I don't really need to talk about the rest of these. Like, this is kind of,
They're losing steam.
yeah. And in 2016, they were acquired by Comcast for $3.8 billion, and I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of creativity that the original DreamWorks Animation Studio had.
There wasn't enough original ideas because we talked briefly before recording, but Pixar's advantage at the time was they had original ideas and they stood by them, and they're still making original ideas. I feel like DreamWorks is still suffering. Even though they made some good sequels,
Yeah.
we can agree on that. But they've also made sequels to Boss Baby, The Croods, Spirit, like a lot of these movies that
They didn't hit to begin with.
they didn't need to make sequels, let alone standalone films. So it's fucking weird. And now we're seeing the suffering of Shrek 5, which I mean, I want to see a Shrek movie, but at the same time, it's like, is it gonna be deserved?
We don't know. Look, they cooked with the Puss in Boots movies.
They did.
Critically acclaimed, right? Like, they're setting something up there that I'm hoping they have the same attention to story and detail with Shrek 5. I'm hoping that there's a reason to tell a Shrek 5 story.
Exactly. And you know what? To be honest, like, I praised Puss in Boots. I recently saw The Wild Robot. It's not my favorite DreamWorks film, but it's one that I'd rather them do than Madagascar 4, than
True.
How to Train Your Dragon 4. Like The Wild Robot, to me, beautiful animation, just like Puss in Boots. And
Yeah.
I like the direction they're going with the animation. It's more stylized than realistic.
Yeah.
And I'd rather that, man. I'd rather them go creative, go more inspirational. It reminds me a lot of Prince of Egypt in that way, where it's falling less of 3D and going more into the 2D style, like Spider-Verse.
That's right.
So I'm just like, just do that. Like, give it a chance. It's not that expensive. The Wild Robot made its money back. I mean, I'd rather that than a Kung Fu Panda 4.
Right. I think Disney's doing a lot of the live action remakes, unnecessary sequels. I think DreamWorks has an opportunity to be like, let's double down on this original shit.
Absolutely.
You know?
I fucking agree with that. And they are. I have a feeling they will, even with the Shrek 5s and shit like that.
Yeah. Let's end off with favorite DreamWorks film.
Favorite DreamWorks film? I thought it was a tie, but the more I think about it, the best DreamWorks film, the one that encapsulates DreamWorks' attitude and Katzenberg's style or attitude as well, is Shrek 2.
Completely agree.
Shrek 2.
Ditto. Shrek 2 is probably the best DreamWorks film of all time. Let us know in the comments what you think the best DreamWorks film of all time is. Let us know your DreamWorks film stories, memories in the comments below. We love reading those. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to your boys. It means the world to us. And most importantly, do not forget to take care, brush your hair.
Peace.